The Browns added another edge rusher to their roster, so we're going to break down all of the latest roster moves surrounding Cleveland since the Hall of Fame game over the last 72 hours or so. Plus, we've got some awesome training camp highlights and notes and news and injury news to look at, including Elijah Moore continuing to stack highlight after highlight, and some people wondering, could he be the next Cooper Kupp breakout star this league sees? And then finally, an update on Kareem Hunt that we may have already seen, at least some of us watching, regarding the New Orleans Saints. But let's start things off with the newest member of the Browns' 90-man roster. It is Charles Wiley, outside linebacker slash edge rusher. Now, he was a UDFA last year coming out of UTSA. He appeared on the Giants and the Ravens practice squad. He's got no regular season experience. Hand up, I have never heard of Charles Wiley before, and I don't expect him to make the 53-man roster. He might make the practice squad, but if we're being realistic, that's probably his ceiling unless there are more injuries coming. Now, Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas both missed Sunday's practice, and now we know why. Kevin Stefanski told the media today that both of those players are expected to miss some time with a knee injury. In fact, some time could go all the way into the regular season. So when you look at Cleveland's defensive line, who's playing in the second half of these preseason games? Because it's not Myles Garrett or Zadarius Smith. They probably might not even play at all in the preseason. Okoronkwo probably not playing in the second half either. So you need someone to be opposite of Isaiah McGuire if Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas are both out for the remainder of the preseason. So hence the signing of we need someone just to put people on the field for preseason games. Now, in a corresponding roster move to make space for Wiley, the Browns waived wide receiver Rashawn Henry. He wasn't here for very long. He spent some time with Atlanta and Carolina in his NFL career, but that was the corresponding roster move. And now the Browns wide receiver room looks like this with some other additions, which we'll look at in just a second. But Watkins, of course, at the bottom after making that touchdown grab against the New York Jets. You've got Wayne on there, but no more Henry. And this has been a wide receiver room that has been beat up, unfortunately. A name that some of the big pigskins out there might recognize as not on the screen is wide receiver Daylen Baldwin. He was waived with an injury designation after the game against the Jets, along with Thomas Graham Jr. That was the corner who got cooked on the big Zach Wilson play. Both of those players I thought could have a chance of making the 53-man roster. Now, they were waived with injury designation, so there is a chance the Browns could re-sign them down the road once they're healthy, but they're not going to hold on to a roster spot for them in the meantime. So another team could swipe in and go, Daylen Baldwin was really good up until he got injured, and now that we're dealing with a rash of injuries and he's healthy, we could sign him. So I don't think their 2023 careers or their careers for 2023 are over. Some other guys out there that were waived / signed, you can check them out, but Daylen Baldwin is probably the most notable of the bunch, and it's a bummer to see that because he had a very good training camp. I thought he was making some really good plays with Deshaun Watson. I'm optimistic for him that he still has some football left for 2023. I am sure other teams were taking notice of who's that guy in Cleveland running with like the third-team offense, but looks like he could run with the first-team offense. Let's give him a shot because we've had 2 receivers get hurt so far in camp. Other injury news, Alex Wright, who I thought played pretty well in the preseason game against the Jets. I thought the Browns got a bit creative, kind of moving him around the defensive line, but unfortunately, Stefanski said today that he is out with a knee injury, and it looks like it could go all the way into the regular season. So, bummer for Alex Wright, no doubt about it. I was very excited to see what he could do this preseason after, let's call it what it was, not a very good regular season in 2022, but just a rookie season. So plenty of reason to believe he could, improve and bounce back from that slowish first season. So with that being said, though, Barry, do the Shelby Harris signing. I want to get the notification that the Browns have added Shelby Harris so I can make a video, we can go live, and you can get a notification that the Browns have signed Shelby Harris because I just don't understand how Cleveland can start Jordan Elliott for the first preseason game, the NFL Hall of Fame game, where half of your team, over a third of your team, did not dress. And then you can have that same starter in a game that's filled with third and fourth stringers also start week 1 of the regular season. Make it make sense, because the roster ain't rostering. Like, it just does not compute in my brain. And when we look at the Browns' defensive line with the addition of Shelby Harris, it'd be a completely revamped D-line, which it needed to be outside of 95, and you would have a very good defensive line. Here are the PFF ranks for what could be a potential starting four. Zadarius Smith, 13th best edge rusher last year. Dalvin Tomlinson, 14th best defensive tackle. Shelby Harris right behind him at 17. And then leading the way, the number 1 edge rusher in 2022 in PFF's grades, Myles Garrett. Now, if you get those starting four with this 5-man rotation of Okoronkwo coming in on first and second down, Isaiah McGuire getting some nice reps as a rookie, Alex Wright maybe being bumped inside for a play or two on passing situations, and then Jordan Elliott can come in on third down. Ika can play early downs to help stop the run. That would be an incredible defensive line that would have plenty of horses for the entire season, and none of these guys are going to get too tired or burned out and can't play down the stretch because they've got backups for days that could have some really good high ceiling type caliber players. But Andrew Berry, we need you to make the Shelby Harris signing. I think defensive tackle should be the next spot that the Browns make a signing at. Last year, we were begging for a new defensive line and one that could stop the run. I don't want to lose sight of that because Andrew Berry has done a ton, no doubt about it. Signed Dalvin Tomlinson, drafted Ika. I mean, 2 of his top big moves in the free agency pool and in the draft were centered around stopping the run. But at the end of the day, you are one knee injury away, one bad ankle away from Dalvin Tomlinson going down, and all of a sudden, it's Jordan Elliott and a rookie in Ika starting, and the defensive line is no different than it was last season when it comes to stopping the run. So for that reason, I want it to be a defensive tackle like Shelby Harris. Now, switching gears, let's talk training camp highlights because Elijah Moore has been a sprinting highlight. You can see this picture of Deshaun Watson linking up with Elijah Moore. Picture perfect pass, right? Right over the fingertips of Denzel Ward, who looks to be in great coverage. It's just a better pass and an amazing catch that compile for an incredible play. It's a perfect throw by Deshaun Watson, and an Elijah Moore breakout season, I believe, is incoming. Now, how big of a breakout season? That I think people do need to lower their sights on. One name that I've seen tossed around a bunch on Twitter and in the comment section is he's going to have a Cooper Kupp breakout season. I don't think it's going to be that dramatic of a rise, that high of a tide in his first season with Cleveland. I mean, you can look at Cooper Kupp's rise. He had a pretty good start to his NFL career, but that middle portion where he put up 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2019, and then the next season, he was 26 yards away from back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and 3 touchdowns. And then, of course, there was that Triple Crown season in 2021. But let's not act like Cooper Kupp was an absolute nobody before 2021. The guy still put up nearly back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 13 touchdowns from 2019 to 2020. So to all of you out there saying he's going to have a Cooper Kupp breakout season, are you saying Cooper Kupp breakout season like what he did in 2019 when he went over 1,000 yards? Yeah, that I can kind of get behind. He's not going to lead the NFL in receptions, yards, and touchdowns this year. I hate to be a rain cloud, but let's reel it in a little bit for his first year with the Browns. I don't think that's going to happen in 2023. You're not going to get 2021 Kupp in Elijah Moore's first year with the Browns. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's show, we're trying to race and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers Talk channel here at Chat Sports to the next milestone, which for us is 21,000 subscribers. We've got a good lead because they're trying to get to 28,000 subscribers. Let's beat them to the next milestone, and then from there, we can do a full court press and take them over in subscribers before the season is over. So if you hate the Steelers, you love the Browns, subscribe, and let's beat them in subs. More from Elijah Moore, though, that I want you guys to see. And a reason why I think he's going to have a breakout season beyond just awesome highlights from training camp, because that happens for all 32 teams. Look at Elijah Moore's stats when he had Zach Wilson under center. He had 349 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, and a quarterback rating of 68.1. Also, look at the disparity between targets and receptions in 15 games with Wilson. Then look what he did without Zach Wilson. In fewer games, more targets, way more receptions, nearly double the yardage, 4 more touchdowns, and the quarterback rating went up. So what am I learning? Oh, when he gets better quarterback play, Zach Wilson plays better. Elijah Moore plays better. And for that reason, when he's going to get better quarterback play from Deshaun Watson in 2023, yeah, mark me down as a believer of Elijah Moore could contend for 1,000 yards in his first season with the Browns, because we saw plenty of great glimpses and examples last year of Elijah Moore just needed to have a somewhat competent offense, an offensive coordinator, for him to have a successful career. And with that into Cleveland now and Deshaun Watson, I think that's going to happen, because Moore is going from being on a shelf of a crappy Jets offense that fired their offensive coordinator and moved on from their starting quarterback to being a main ingredient in the Browns' 2023 offense with a quarterback that led the NFL in passing yards the last time he played a full season. So for those reasons, I'm in. I am a believer in a breakout season coming for Elijah Moore. Buy all the stock you want right now. Get it on the ground floor. Buy all the hype. Buy into it. Don't overreact. I think it's real. I think it's legit. I also think the Browns sideline hats for 2023 are pretty legit. Some are better than others, no doubt about it. But I love this throwback Brownie the Elf one with the football and the stiff arm. If you love it too, get your hat game going. Chatsports.com/Browns hat. That link's in the comments and the description of today's video. To wrap up the show, I just want to share some Kareem Hunt news with everyone in case you're wondering what number 27 is up to. He is down in New Orleans today making a visit with the Saints. Now, New Orleans will be without Alvin Kamara for the first 3 weeks of the 2023 season due to a suspension. And Eno Benjamin, their third-string running back, he got hurt as well. So I could see Kareem Hunt signing with the Saints in the near future if this visit goes well to kind of band-aid them through the first 3 weeks of the season until Alvin Kamara gets back. If you're wondering if the Browns are still interested in Kareem Hunt, as long as the room remains healthy, which it has been through the first 2 weeks of camp by now, the Browns seem to be content with their running backs, right? They didn't even bother playing Jerome Ford in the preseason game. I know he was dealing with a bit of an injury earlier in camp, but they like what they're seeing out of him so far. I'm hearing good things about Ford and Berea and in Greenbrier as well. And Hassan Hall and John Kelly, those guys can get you through RB3 and practice squad. So I don't think you're going to see a Kareem Hunt reunion to the Browns unless you see an injury occur. To wrap up the show, we've got to pick a card. We've got Tyler Smith behind the camera today. Smitty, card do you want to go with?
I didn't really think about it just yet, but
I like that more. I like a little off the cuff.
Spur of the moment. Give me 9 of clubs. I have no idea why. Give me 9 of clubs.
I'm trying, Cam. I'm trying. You doing 9 of clubs? Okay. I'm going to go with the 5 of spades. Thinking at 3 of hearts. 3 of hearts. The 3 has been hitting a ton lately. Okay, that's going to do it for us on today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll catch up later.